Well as we have, you have controlled media and controlled informations. And so as long as you live wealthy and you can travel around the world, you are happy.
I think British problem is that they believe in democracy. I think they are taking everything face value, what's being served to them. I don't think they are thinking with their heads and trying to get logical conclusions. I mean, because there are other sides, you know. If it is democracy, then we have to look at all the sides, and that's not what they're getting.
Subotica bombed. Montenegro bombed. Novi Sad bombed. Smederevo, it's middle Serbia bombed. Pančevo, very near Belgrade, bombed. Athena, hold on.
Bombed.
Athena bombed. Athena, blah, blah, blah. Beograd, bombed. Kukës, Albania, bombed. Podgorica, bombed. London. Last night,
Not bombed.
our no bombing, no.
No bombing in London?
No. Just the hard talk says here. BBC hard talk, BBC.
Okay.
Fuck you.
It's just such a head fuck that across the road, really, you know.
80% of Scots don't want Trident here. You know, we're supposedly living in a healthy democracy, but it seems to be catches cold, really, when it comes to this place across here. Come the eviction, they're going to have to stop this road and evict the people from here. It's been a pain in the bum, this road, for 15 years, because as you can probably hear, it's just the traffic all the time, especially at 7 in the morning, and just zooming in. But come eviction, it's probably be a massive help, because they're going to have to shut it off. There's no way they can evict people from here screaming and shouting without shutting this road.
I think folk have this perception as camps, this is just protest sites where you come and your only involvement is a shallow one to do with an immediate protest and that's it. Well, that's a nonsense. This is a living community. We work together, we're a family, we have our disputes, we have our agreements. We've built very strong links here.
Now, you've got everyone near an eviction will have a chain and a clip, and so you carry that with you as soon as you get out of bed all the time. And if they hit 6 in the morning, whatever, you know, you've got people know where all these are. They're situated all along the camp, so you've got somewhere to run to. You're not going to just be standing. What do I do? You can run to one of these, stick your hand in there, and just hold on and clip on. It's like the Gandhi fit, you know, the Gandhi sort of approach, you know, you just keep pressing at it and don't retaliate, no violence at all. If they beat you, it's unfortunate, but it's good in a way, because of course, you know, it's like police violence towards peaceful protesters.
Maximum disruption, minimum arrests, that's where I come from, you know.
If they come in the morning, you can just roll out of bed, jump in the hole, shut the hatch and lock yourself on. Then the only way they're going to get you out is by chopping the whole caravan away. And how long does it take to move all this?
It's a dangerous time, you know. I mean, people have committed suicide after Newbury just because of the depressions they got. I mean, it's, you know, it is. And I think that's something we need to start thinking about when they camp.
And in 5 to 10 years, people will just won't blink an eyelid as somebody's just spattered over their head or kicked in, saying, well, they're scum. The word scum, you know, it won't be a person in eco-warrior scum. It won't be Joe from Paisley. It'll be eco-warrior scum. And you forget that they're just like, their mindset will be like, these are people who are outside the system, they're not in with it, in the van. Or you can't just say, well, I've done my bit, I'm out of here. You've got to, you're in it, and there's no way out. You know, really, people try and leave it, but you can't.
Two kind of surfers. There's your weekend surfer or your part-time surfer, or your soul surfers, as some people like to say. And for me, you know, it's like, for me surfing, I found my purpose, you know. I'm quite happy what I'm doing now. I'm not going to grow old and think, well, what was my purpose in life? Hopefully I've discovered it at such a young age. I have an advantage over everybody else, and I'm happy. If you can surf Thurso East and the waves around Thurso, then you can surf anywhere in the world. When you're out there in the water, if you don't give 100% to the, you know, just being out there, even if there's nobody out there, you know, it'll come back on you. You know, I believe in karma and fate. You know, if you don't give the land and the waves any respect, you know, that'll get you in the end. In this day and age, respect is something what's non-existent, you know. It's like people just come up with the wrong attitude, you know. It's like, can you really blame them, you know, coming from the city and that? But when they come up to such a quiet place like Thurso and they abuse it, you know, it's like time to go home. We don't mind people coming up here having a surf, but when they're going to start charging around the peak saying, oh, my wave, it's like, okay, mate, your wave, you know, even though you'll be going back home in a trashed vehicle, you know. Doonray is the only scary factor about coming up to Thurso, surfing Thurso. There's so much pollution in the water. You know, over the years since I've been surfing, I've suffered from bad ear infections for over 2 years now. I've also had diarrhea for 4 months straight every day, and the doctors hadn't a clue what I had. They sent samples off and they said it's some bug they've never even heard of before. And also suffering from sickness from being in the water some days. For having a nuclear processing plant on the north coast of Scotland, you know, it's okay for the future of the district up here, for jobs and for the families, but at the end of the day, you know, you've got to take in the health. You know, what's more important, money or your health? At my age now, if you do pick up something, it'll probably show up in maybe 15, 20 years, but then I'll be 50 on, more or less old man, and should be dead anyway, and I've had my best part of life, so. Life's a beach, as they say, or a reef, I'd like to say.
Against hitchhikers started about 25 years ago in this country. I mean, when you create a motorway situation where people can't stop and there's no possibility to stop and there's no possibility to hitchhike, then, you know, you virtually outlaw it as as an activity, don't you? The whole reason to walk around Scotland really was to do with self-awareness, was to do with exploring one's own country and to learn one's own country. And I don't know exactly what I am looking for, whether it's something to do with your own psyche or to do with your own identity, or whether it's to do with a broader identity, whether you're trying to sort of put yourself in the landscape or whether you're trying to put yourself into, let's say, the human geography. You find yourself walking through a landscape and you feel like you shouldn't be there. Now you wonder why that is, you know. Is that a cultural thing, or is that because you're picking up on some kind of vibration from the landscape itself? There's an innate fear in all of us that makes us respond to this notion of wilderness in a particular way. Our concept of wilderness is entirely based on the fact that we can go anywhere. And as soon as we see a fence and an area that is sectioned off, there's a conflict there. There's a conflict between our acceptance within ourselves of what wilderness will be and someone else's barrier that prevents you from going into it. The MOD were asked to identify a site that would be ideal, let's say, for an atomic test. And they chose Thurso, up in Caithness. And presumably they thought that it was a wilderness area that had no people living in it, or such a thin population that it would make no difference whatsoever. Or maybe they really wanted it to actually go off in a place where there were humans to see what would happen. But the thing that stopped them, apparently, from doing the atomic test in Caithness was the rainfall and not the population. We, as people, operate within our own time frame. We can't operate outside of that time frame. It's impossible. You know, we can't live the lives of the people before us, and we can't live the lives of the people in front of us. The essence of magic is to take a piece of charcoal and a blank surface and just make that line into something. It's that animation of line that can create a narrative, that can create a world, that can create a universe, that can take the human spirit beyond itself into another dimension. That's the magic.